Hello everybody, welcome back to Blues Focus TV for the first full-time match reaction video of the championship season. Today we took on Luton Town at Kenilworth Road, which ended in a 0-0 draw. Now, before we dissect Blues' overall performance, I think certainly as Blues fans we should be very happy with a point away at Luton Town. Obviously they had a fantastic season last year, finishing 6th in the championship. And obviously losing in the semi-final of the playoffs. But their team certainly improved since last season as well, with the additions of the likes of Luke Freeman, Carlton Morris, Corley Woodrow. So certainly a point away, I think is a good result for Blues against a good Luton side. If someone said to me at the start of the game, will you take that? I would have bitten your arm off and taken that every day of the week. I think it's so important in the championship to not lose your first game as well. Just from a psychological point of view, from fans and players really, it's always disappointing to see yourself at the bottom of the championship or near the bottom, one game in. So I think it's good to avoid the loss today and just get a point on the board and hopefully set the tone for the season. But in terms of Blues' performance, it wasn't the best Blues performance in the world. I feel certain players were a little bit disappointing today to watch. I thought certainly first half we weren't too great. We grew into the game a little bit more, created a few more chances as the game went on. Didn't have many shots on target today. I think I only saw one in the game, and I think BBC Sport had it down as 3. But again, not a lot of chances on goal, not a lot of chances created, which was a bit disappointing. I thought at the back we looked a bit shaky at times as well, didn't look too assuring. Gave away the ball a few times. In quite dangerous positions, certainly one from Roberts fairly close to the end, which almost led to a goal. But aside from those negatives, I don't want to focus on them too much. There were a few positives to take away from today's game. I thought John Ruddy had a good performance. Was a bit worried about him. He didn't have the best pre-season, I wouldn't say. Obviously, he was involved in that team that lost 1-0 to Solihull and then made a bit of, quite a big mistake against Rayo Vallecano. So I was a bit concerned about how he'd fare in quite a competitive championship game. But he's 36 years of age. He's an extremely experienced keeper. And that certainly showed today. He didn't have loads of important saves to make, but he certainly did what he had to do very well. He looks very assured in what he does. He commands his box well. I think certainly is an upgrade on Neil Etheridge. He dealt with crosses very well today, which is something that Etheridge has certainly struggled with in the past, which was great to see. So I'm happy with Ruddy in goal. I'd be happy with him in goal for the rest of the season, to be honest. We know we're not going to get years and years out of John Ruddy, but it's certainly good for the next season, maybe 2 seasons, to have a confident, assured goalkeeper in between the sticks. So happy with his performance. I thought Sanderson and Trusty at the back looked very good. I don't need to comment much on Sanderson. I think we all know what a fantastic centre-back he is. I think we're very lucky to have him back at Blues. I'm very excited to see what else he can do this season. And Trusty, again, looked good. Watching Trusty in pre-season, I've been very impressed by him. Again, another good performance from himself today. Few shaky moments from the whole defensive line at times, but I think individually, looking at those 2 performances from Sanderson and Trusty, I think they did look good. Wing backs were good today as well. Both Colin and Poheta, I think, were very good. It's a shame Poheta can't play a bit further forward. I feel he's limited at times in that left wing back role because he's got so much pace going forward with the ball and without the ball. But I think the wing backs did a good job today, got some good balls into the box. And they certainly showed a decent performance. So happy with those 2. Was interesting to see no Dean in the starting lineup, of course, or the bench. Maybe it shows the stance Eustace has on Dean. But the good thing is we've obviously got in Christian Bielik now. Very happy to have him back at the club, to be fair. I've been saying for quite a while when he was at Blues in 2017, potentially. I remember at the time thinking, yeah, you look like a good defender. So it's great to have him back. He can obviously play centre-half. I believe defensive midfield as well. I'm not quite sure where he mainly played for Derby, but I know those are 2 roles and positions he can play in. So Roberts was... I normally am a fan of Roberts. He was a little bit shaky today, or very shaky. He didn't have his best performance. So whether Bielik might look to replace Roberts or potentially Woods in the midfield, I'm honestly not sure. It just depends what Eustace wants to do with him. It depends where Bielik wants to play. But it's certainly nice to have that backup option of Bielik on the bench if he doesn't start for Blues. To have a good assured centre-back coming on is always great. And if he's needed in the midfield as well, he can play there. Thought Hogan and Deeney were both quiet today, whether they just weren't getting the service. It's an interesting one with Hogan and Deeney because they're two players that I feel should complement each other quite well. Deeney being that striker that can hold up the ball, hold up the plate, and Hogan being that striker that can sort of run onto the loose balls. And it's got that little bit more pace than Deeney to get in behind the defenders. But it's a tricky one. There's something about those two that just doesn't feel quite right. You want those two as strikers. They're both proven goal scorers, so you do want them to have a few more shots on goal, have a few more just opportunities for themselves. But today that didn't seem the case. I thought Hogan's been really good over pre-season. Had a bit of a quiet one today. I thought Djukovic looked good when he came on, to be fair. Probably a bit of an upgrade on Deeney. I've always been a fan of Troy Deeney, whether that's for Watford or for Blues. But again, a bit of a quiet one from him today. I think Hogan and Deeney will score goals for us this season. They are both proven goal scorers at the end of the day, but I don't think their performances really set the tone from what I want to see for the rest of the season. But never mind, obviously one game out of many to come, so not the end of the world. Thought Bakuna looked very good as well. He's going to be, I said it in a reaction video a few days ago, but he's going to be our star player this season. He looks brilliant on the ball. He looks a skillful player. I think he's just going to be absolutely fantastic. He's got a bit of pace about him as well, a bit of flair. He certainly looks like he could be an answer to quite a few of Blues' problems. We've obviously got a month of the window still to go as well. So an opportunity to get in a few more players. I still think we need a bit of strength in a few areas of the pitch. And we've obviously got, as I said, Bielik come in, who could be a backup defender or a starting defender. I think wing backs we could do with a left back. We don't play four at the back, but it's nice to know if we ever want to, there's that option there. Or maybe a defender who can play both left wing back and left back would be perfect. Maybe a midfielder as well. That would be quite nice. But again, Christian Bielik can cover those roles in the midfield. I would say another attacker. We are spoilt for choice up front, I'd say. We've got a good number of options, but it's whether they're good enough at the end of the day. Cosgrove, Bellingham, Lecco, Dukey, Deeney, Hogan. We've got good numbers up top, but it's whether we could do with another player to add that little bit more quality in the Blues team. But we'll have to see. But obviously we got Huddersfield Town Friday night, an opportunity for Blues to regain their place at the top of the table. I think it will be an interesting game, to be fair. I'd say Huddersfield are a club on a bit of a downer at the moment. Obviously lost 1-0 last night to Burnley. Lost some of their good players from last season. So obviously us being at home as well is a bit of an advantage. So I'm excited for that game. We'll have to see how it goes. But overall, a decent, okay performance from Blues, but more importantly, a good point away at Luton Town. So thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you Friday against Huddersfield. Keep right on.